Nigeria's Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edo, joins me on the program now. Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Edo. We'll get to talk about the Renewed Hope Grant in just a moment, but let's begin with COP28. It's good to note that you kept on informing people about what was going on, tweeting about, some of the deals that Nigeria signed. And one of them you spoke about was meeting with the Secretary General of the UAE Red Crescent and that deal to set up humanitarian regional hubs in Nigeria. Talk to us some more about that. How will it work?
So first, we want to really appreciate the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I think it's been in fact, unprecedented first 6 months or almost 6 months in office. He has had exceptional interactions with the international community that has been able to attract a lot of good things for Nigeria in terms of capital development, in terms of financial support to the country and to projects in the country, capital projects, and of course in terms of human resources and different investments in different sectors, both in the humanitarian sector, of course the poverty alleviation, and then you have power amongst others. The COP28 was very significant for the Nigerian delegation led by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We had this huge window of opportunity to interact with different people who could support Nigeria in different ways. First, I'd like to draw a very clean line between the climate change and, of course, the humanitarian crisis. We very well know the number of people affected by humanitarian crisis in the country is almost within the window of 16 million people directly affected by humanitarian crisis. Most of these crises are caused by climate change-induced natural disasters. For instance, we have things like the flooding that we see in Nigeria so often. This is also one of the things, the deadheads that come out from climate change. And that's why we were at COP28 with the president to interact with different players, both private and public, to see what we can do to support Nigeria and the fundings we can attract. We had different meetings, first with the UAE, where we met with the Minister for Tolerance and other very senior government officials in the palace, as well as, of course, the president. And we had full discussions on ways forward and the ways they can support Nigeria. And they're very willing to come in to support Nigeria in various sectors. Beyond this, we had a meeting with the Red Crescent, the Secretary General of the Red Crescent. I met with him, and he is completely interested in helping Nigeria to set up a humanitarian response system. Remember, as a country, Nigeria with over 240 million people, we do not have a humanitarian response system that can adequately, at the slightest need, attend and respond to people in their millions. We do not have a humanitarian hub, a center where we do all our packaging, storage of response materials. We do not have a situation room where we can monitor humanitarian crises wherever they're going on, whether it's caused by, whether it's man-made or whether it's natural. We don't have that in Nigeria at present. These are all things I saw firsthand in the UAE, and we want to replicate same here. And the Red Cross of the UAE is ready to support us to achieve this. Beyond this, we had engagement with the Islamic Development Bank.
Dr. Edu, shortly we'll get to talk about the Islamic Development Bank. But if we may dwell some more on this humanitarian hubs that you're looking to set up in Nigeria, of course, with the guidance of Red Crescent. When exactly are we looking at it coming into effect?
So basically, we have to begin with the construction, which should take close to 6 months and or more. First, we have gotten the design. We're going back to the UAE in January, where we'll sign the compact, and after which they will put boots on ground. And we already have a land at Gwarimpa, which was allocated to the ministry. We will use part of it to create the first humanitarian hub, which would be the central hub for Nigeria, the number one point of response for emergencies, disasters, issues, whatever it is, whether it's man-made or it's natural. We are able to, in a systematic way, address it. We'll also have holding areas. So if we have emergency, we can have places where we can hold persons until we are able to get them back to their place of abode where they came from. We would also have these hubs in the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. This is for the first stage, and then furthermore, we can break them down into states and local government. But first, the national, which is here in Abuja, which will be made up of the storage, the processing area, of course, the holding area, and then the administrative block. The designs are on the way and will soon be receiving the final design. That's what we'll be taking to UAE while we're signing the compact. And then they will put boots on ground, supporting the Nigerian government to set up a system so that whenever we have any of this humanitarian crisis, we have a theater room where we can address those issues from and monitor the situation as they go on.
All right, let's now talk about the support from the Islamic Development Bank. In what way would it come, and what does Nigeria give in return?
So the Islamic Development Bank, they support nations in different ways. So they have the grants, they have the concession, and then they have the loans. For the grants and concessions, they are ready to support Nigeria and the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs almost immediately. We're meeting with the Islamic Development Bank regional hub here in Nigeria. They have one of the biggest hubs in Nigeria, and we are partners already. We'll meet with the hub here and agree on areas. We already had a technical meeting of over 3 hours in Dubai. In that meeting, we identified areas. One of the areas is the humanitarian area. Other areas are the social safety nets and social protection programs across board that they are ready to support. They already have funding in different ways for this. They have the Sukuk Fund, they have the Sovereignty Trust Fund, they have other fundings that are the Zakat Fund, amongst other things that are dedicated to supporting nations like ours, and they are ready to support Nigeria fully. He has put the team, attached the team to the ministry, and they're working with our technical team. Once we are done with the draft, we'll be going back to Jeddah, and then they will sign the final agreement, and then they will come to Nigeria and release fundings to us. Beyond this, they are ready to support loans for businesses, micro, small enterprises, amongst other businesses, to see that poor people can have access to loans in Nigeria to carry out businesses. And of course, this will help lift them out of poverty. Remember, the target from Mr. President is to see the 50 million people are pulled out of poverty. And that's what we are going to be working on. We've already started. We've had several breakthroughs, but from the COP28, these are the positive outcomes for us as a ministry and as a nation.
All right, I guess we'll look forward to, when all of the technicalities will be concluded, because very importantly, too, would like to know what Nigeria would be given in return for these supports coming from these bodies. But let's now talk about the Renewed Hope grant. Beneficiaries in Kogi State very excited about, what some would call a dream come true for them. But what really is the modality for selecting the beneficiaries? And are there plans to replicate this across the country?
So the Renewed Hope vulnerable grants for poor persons, it's actually a one-off Kickstarter, like we like to call it, a Kickstarter for persons all across the country, families all across the country, and we just flagged that off in Kogi. It's one-off. It's just to support these families and their little businesses. These people were actually selected from communities where we have poor people. So we look for flashpoints where there is inherent, very palpable poverty, and then we select the beneficiaries from these areas and we intervene. Remember, we have blanket programs like the conditional cash transfer that cuts across board, both in the urban areas, suburban, or semi-urban, and then, of course, the rural areas. And this is to cover 15 million households for 3 times. However, this is different. This is different from what we have. And for this one, it's intended to see that those flashpoints where we have challenges, we can quickly intervene and see results almost immediately.
All right, then. I would quickly take a pause and, we'll take the story and then later I'll get a reaction to it. And it's about you, Dr. Betta Edu, raising the alert on a fake news item in the media and public spaces alleging 25 billion naira purportedly meant for the retired military pensioners from the conditional cash transfer funds being given to the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Abubakar. Well, Dr. Edu advised the public to disregard the report as it is not only fake, but a deliberate, malicious attempt by mischief makers to tarnish the image and integrity of the minister. According to the minister, at no time did she give or contemplate giving funds meant for the pensioners of the retired military personnel of the Nigerian Armed Forces to ministers or ministries. She stated further that for the avoidance of doubt, 17,077 veterans and 264,560 pensioners list were submitted to the National Social Safety Net's Coordinating Office in the third week of November, and the process of in-person verification of the names submitted by the Nigerian Legion and the pensioners group is still ongoing. Dr. Edu, quickly react to this. You have come out to say that this is fake and it's only like a figment of the imagination of those who are peddling it.
So sometimes really, I think I'm basically a little above 100 days old in office, and we've had to deal with too many false information going out into the social media and into the media space. There is nothing, absolutely nothing like 25 billion naira given to anybody. The conditional cash transfer is from the World Bank to the CBN and directly to beneficiaries. The list submitted to us from the veterans is about 17,000. And the list from pensioners is about 240-something thousand. And this list has to go through the entire verification process, including in-person verification, to see these people and ascertain that they are actually veterans or they are actually pensioners. And of course, we get their details from PENCOM, of course, we get their details from their IPSA data and the rest of it. Working, they were being paid, and they are now pensioners. There is absolutely nothing like giving monies to anybody for any reason. Even we here at the ministry do not have the money. The money is paid directly from CBN to beneficiaries, and that's what it is. So when we have people sit down, cook up a figment of their imagination, and begin to write things and circulate, it's really so sad, especially for us in a country where we need healing, in a country where we need to work together for development. Beyond this, in recent times, we've seen a lot of scam alerts. It's everywhere. People create websites, people create WhatsApp group, and they just keep circulating things. This is the template, this is this, fill it, pay 50 naira, pay 10 naira, and then you pay 500 naira, pay 1,000 naira, and you gain access transfer or this. All right, of those are false. We have a national social register where we depend on to be able to pay these people, and these are verified persons.
It's a good way to end the conversation. Thank you very much for that clarification and for joining us on the program. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Betta Edu, thank you for your time.